Go ahead, walk out, Parker sneered, leaning back in the leather boardroom chair like he owned the building. Let's see if you can land that deal without me. I didn't say a word. Just dropped the signed federal contract on the polished oak table in front of him. His smirk faltered. The next morning, my phone didn't stop ringing. The board was in a frenzy, legal was on high alert, and every executive VP suddenly remembered my extension. Because Parker didn't just sabotage a deal, he'd stepped on a landmine I'd buried myself. But let me rewind. My name's Camille Dorsey, and until 3 months ago, I was just the senior compliance analyst that everyone ignored unless something exploded. I spent 6 years ghostwriting risk memos, patching up procurement loopholes, and translating regulatory sludge into watertight contracts. I liked being invisible, until Parker Stratton swaggered into the office. He was the new VP of Strategic Sales, imported from some tech firm in Austin that crashed harder than crypto. Slick, loud, and tragically overconfident, Parker strutted in on a Monday, and by Friday had already restructured 2 departments. He talked like every conversation was a TED Talk audition. Called me Cam, even after I told him I preferred Camille. Smirked through every correction I made to his half-baked pitches. Then he touched the one deal you don't touch. An $85 million modernization contract with the U.S. Department of the Interior. The kind of federal deal that comes once in a career, if you're lucky. I'd been nurturing it for almost a year. Parker showed up and decided his vision was more important than compliance. He erased my name from the contact list, took calls without me, then misrepresented our entire licensing model to a federal ethics officer. Told them we owned a platform we only had a shared license for. That wasn't a mistake. That was a disqualifying lie. The agency ghosted us within hours. I was ordered into a review meeting. Parker sat there with his arms folded, sipping his electrolyte-enhanced water like we weren't about to be blacklisted by the federal government. I laid the facts bare. He shrugged. The CEO told me to fix it quietly. No punishment, no accountability, just another woman told to mop up someone else's mess. But Parker didn't know my history. Didn't know about the clause I helped write into our compliance charter last year. Didn't know I kept everything. Every PDF, every onboarding doc, every obscure SharePoint backup. Including one scanned document from his hiring file, a federal ethics sanction. Parker Stratton had been banned from participating in federal negotiations until May 2026. He'd signed an acknowledgement. He wasn't just incompetent, he was ineligible, and he led that call anyway. I called the Department of Ethics and Procurement Integrity. Quietly, Mr. Jeremy Finch answered. When I told him who Parker was and what he'd done, there was a long pause. Then, "Thank you for the call. We've been waiting for this." It took me 4 days to rebuild the deal, 2 to find the right witnesses, 1 to activate the buried clause that made me the interim compliance officer for all contracts under $100 million, and 20 minutes to forward the executed contract to the federal agency, complete with my signature. The deal was saved, but Parker, he didn't even know it was over yet. Like and subscribe if you've ever had to fix a mess someone else made while they took the credit. Also, what city are you watching from? Drop it in the comments below. Parker found out the next morning. He stormed into the office an hour late, wearing his usual smug expression and a blazer that screamed, "Tech bro turned corporate savior." He didn't even glance at me as he strutted past my desk. But I'd already been at work for hours, sipping lukewarm coffee, waiting for the detonation. He entered his office. Stopped. Then the yelling started. I had left the final contract on his desk, triple-bound in navy leather, with my signature front and center. Camille Dorsey, Acting Compliance Officer, as per Board Resolution 3.14. The board didn't call him. They called me. Legal didn't CC him. They CC'd me. By 10 a.m., Slack was on fire. Who signed the deal #Dorsey? Did it someone even rename the Wi-Fi Camille controls contracts? Parker? He was imploding. He stomped into the executive boardroom with 3 other VPs, trying to spin it like he had orchestrated a dual submission to test agency preferences. Said I jumped the gun, said I overstepped. But the client already responded with praise. Camille Dorsey's clarity and compliance-driven communication restored our faith in the project. The board chair didn't reply to Parker's email. He called a closed session instead, and I wasn't just invited, I was requested. Walking into that boardroom was the calmest moment of my career. The men who once dismissed me now sat in silence as I unpacked 2 binders, dropped them on the table, and spoke clearly. I flagged Mr. Stratton's ineligibility. I revised the contract to meet federal compliance. I executed under my authority as outlined in the Q1 board memo. The chair leaned forward. Did he know he was barred? Yes, he signed the acknowledgement in his hiring packet. Legal verified everything within the hour. Parker's badge was deactivated by 3 p.m. He didn't leave with security. He left in stunned silence, holding a branded coffee mug he'd taken from the break room like it was a trophy he didn't earn. I didn't gloat, didn't celebrate, just packed my laptop and walked to the elevator like it was any other Tuesday. Because my revenge wasn't just getting him fired. It was proving that everything he thought I couldn't do, I already did, better, faster, and with receipts. The fallout didn't stop with Parker. 2 days after his exit, I got an encrypted email from the board chair titled, Strategic Advisory Role Proposal Urgent. They wanted me back, only this time, not in compliance. They offered me a seat. Remote, high retainer, quarterly oversight of all contracts over $50 million. Full autonomy, direct line to the board. 6 months ago, they wouldn't have let me refill the toner. Now they wanted me writing the rules, but I wasn't ready to say yes. Not yet, because while Parker was gone, the rot wasn't. I'd uncovered more in those document archives, budget reallocations with missing signatures, sloppy revisions made by someone in procurement under pressure, and worst of all, 3 internal memos where Parker had scrubbed out compliance objections by marking them redundant. All signed off by Senior VP Mallory Keene, Parker's so-called mentor, the one who helped him leapfrog into the federal deal team in the first place. So no, I wasn't done yet. I started quietly. No alarms, no emails, just coffee chats. First with Ashley in procurement. She thought she was just helping confirm revision logs. Then Troy in IT, he thought I just needed a server timestamp. And finally Hannah in finance. She knew. Camille, she whispered one afternoon in the stairwell, Mallory was grooming Parker for her position. She thought if he landed the federal deal, she could retire early with a fat bonus and leave him in her seat. So she let him lie. She coached him. My fingers went numb on the railing. Mallory hadn't just ignored the red flags. She'd manufactured them. She'd used me as her insurance policy, knowing if it fell apart, I'd be the cleanup crew, except I'd flipped the whole damn board. I didn't go to the board immediately. No, I had a better idea. Let Mallory hang herself publicly. Mallory held her weekly leadership sync every Thursday in Conference Room 4C, a room lined with frosted glass and fake bamboo plants, as if pretending to be peaceful could make up for all the backstabbing that happened inside. That morning I printed a packet, not an email, not a PDF, a full-color, spiral-bound, time-stamped, bulletproof dossier. Inside, 3 unsigned revision drafts Parker altered, tagged as approved by Mallory's credentials internal chat logs where she greenlit language that stripped out key compliance clauses, a voice memo, Ashley's recorded Slack huddle, where Mallory explicitly said, if Camille gets wind of this, stall her. Parker can close it faster. And the cherry on top, an expense report, Parker's working dinner with the client, actually a steakhouse tab billed to Mallory's P-card. She'd signed off on it herself. The client never showed. I walked into 4C just as she was mid-sentence about lessons learned from the Stratton fiasco. She blinked. Camille, this isn't your... I slid the packet onto the table. Everyone fell silent. Actually, Mallory, it is. She opened the front cover. Her face changed. I spoke calmly. What you allowed wasn't just negligent. It was deliberate. You used me as a backup plan for a scheme that nearly got us blacklisted. I turned to the others. If anyone else was pressured to bypass compliance, now's the time. Silence. Then Troy spoke. I was told to remove encryption tags from Parker's draft. Ashley, she told me clause 14.2 didn't apply if the board didn't read it. Mallory went pale. This is a witch hunt. No, I cut in. It's a reckoning. At 3:17 p.m., I received a forwarded email from legal. Mallory Keene, terminated, immediate effect, breach of fiduciary oversight. Her office was cleared out by Monday. And the role they offered me, I didn't accept, I rewrote it. Chief Integrity Officer. hybrid, autonomous, my own team, no Parker, no Mallory, just the truth. The new office came with a view, 12th floor, corner suite, wide windows overlooking downtown Lexington. But I kept the walls bare. No diplomas, no awards, just a corkboard with one pinned item. A copy of the final executed contract, not to show off, to remember. Remember what it cost. Remember how fast they forget until you make them remember. For the first few weeks, the same execs who once ghosted my calendar suddenly wanted to pick my brain or grab lunch. I declined all but one. The CEO, he invited me to the rooftop lounge, his idea of a humble setting, as if exposed brick and overpriced coffee could erase 6 years of being ignored. I want to personally thank you, he said. You saved us, I nodded. I didn't do it for you. He laughed, unsure if I was joking. I wasn't. Camille, he said, we'd like to model your role across other departments. You're a force. A force, cute. Where was that force when they let Parker run wild? Still, I smiled, politely, professionally. Happy to consult, I said, but I won't be cleaning up anyone else's mess again. He raised his cup. To leadership. I raised mine back. To consequences. The next quarter, our compliance score hit record highs. Federal liaisons requested me by name. The agency we nearly lost, they renewed for another 5 years. And every new hire sits through a 30-minute onboarding video narrated by, guess who? Me, Parker. I heard he tried to sue for wrongful termination. The clause I wrote, Clause 14.2b, tore that apart before it reached arbitration. He left Lexington. Word is he's consulting in Nashville, under a different last name. Mallory, her golden parachute deflated midair. Once the ethics committee reviewed her trail, they revoked her board credentials. She's untouchable in any federal-facing firm. And me, I don't work late anymore. I don't eat lunch at my desk. And I sure as hell don't let anyone call me Cam. Because in this office, in this city, and in this industry, they finally know my full name. And they will say it with respect.